Hey, it's AT time. My name is Ron Friedman, and today on Animation Trainers, we're going to fulfill a request we've received from a few folks and give you a sneak peek into what our weekly fishbowl sessions on our Patreon page are like. And to make sure you don't miss any of the other videos that we post here on Animation Trainers, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and switch the notification bell to all. And check out the links in the description below to our website and to our Patreon page, where you can learn animation live with me online for $2 a week. And speaking of those live sessions, I've had a few people ask me what exactly those sessions entail. I figured the best way to explain it would be to show you. So here now are some clips from feedback that I gave to a couple of our trainees over the last few weeks. Cool, so something about that land here feels a little soft. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that if there was more of if there was more of a drag here, so that the character was like kind of holding back and the upper body was dragging behind, because right now it just stays in a ball the whole way down. If he opened up higher, so that he was kind of like this by this point, and then his arms are coming out, and then so that by the time he gets to that point, that hand is kind of like up against the wall and trying to kind of like give himself some stability while he's reaching down and the feet are coming down. And then that way, boom, when he hits there, that change is going to make that feel a lot more squashy, stretchy, and you're going to like feel that change more. And then have him push off, you know? And then same idea here. I think that there's an opportunity there to kind of just allow him to kind of be like, it looks like that's as tall as he ever gets. But I think that we could, if by having him go longer than that or get into that sooner or something so that he can then really kind of crunch down here and we feel that more. Something about that just feels a little soft.
Okay.
See what I mean? Yeah. All right, great.
Very good.
One of them's coming at me. I let him have it. Another one kept at me from this side. I let him have it. I started to swing left and right.
All right, cool. So I think that this is really nice. I think that there's something about this I let him have it.
I let him have it.
Do you see how it doesn't have, we're not really seeing the mouth open? Because of the you know, mouth being down and stuff. So I wonder if you couldn't do something more where it was like, I let him have it. And so his head starts higher. So like here, he's like, let him. And so like the nose is up here and it's almost like he's looking, you know, down his nose. So his mouth is up here. You know what I mean? And his chin is up here and the teeth are here and it's a long neck. So he's, you know, his head is back like that, you know? So that way when he's have it, so as he's saying have it, you could get this real nice big mouth on the way down to that, you know, have it. And that way you get a nice big change. Because part of the issue here is that, like, if we look at the height of the nose, this is how the height of the nose is right now. And then it comes down here and it's there. So that's not actually a huge difference between those points. So if instead, you know, between here and here, if the nose was all the way up here, like the top of the nose was up here, so that it came down and then now you have the nose down there, that's going to be a nice big change and you're going to read that more. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Cool.
What the hell happened back there? Start with the part where Jen gets knocked out by a 90-pound girl, because I don't think that's ever getting old.
Okay.
What in the hell happened
I like
back
that.
there?
So there's a thing where the character starts moving pretty big before the character, before the other off-screen character is done talking. And he's like looking up and it's like, what is he looking at? I understand that you're going for kind of a, like that expression of, oh, I think we could just delay it a little bit. So if I think like if you started from he's kind of like this, not really looking, and then you have him shift his gaze over, so now you've established to the audience, whoever you hear talking right now is over there. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like you've established an eye line. But you also haven't done a huge movement out of the initial pose so that you're not basically telling the audience, pay attention to me now. You're telling them to pay attention what the guy is still saying, right? And then you basically kind of wait until, not until where it feels like like weird, there should be a little overlap, but not too much of when he's like, you know, and he gets an idea, like, and you see that expression and it's right at the
Yeah.
guy, you know, and he's like, oh, you know, like a, oh, you should, you know, we do like this kind of a, it's a gesture that gets attention because it's a big action. So if you're not looking at me, you'll look at me because I'm doing this. And
Yeah.
then also, it's, you know, like vocally, like you're excited about the idea you just had, and you can see that playing across the face. And the little nodding is basically telling himself, oh, this is a great idea. You're a genius for having thought of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Comment quiz. Did you like that pointing suggestion, or is there a different action you would like to see in that moment? I'd love to know in the comments below. Remember, all the cool kids comment. We also have amongst our Patreon community some animators who are working professionally in the industry, but are still interested in getting some feedback to make their work even stronger. This is feedback that I gave Matt McCarthy on part of an animation test that he did for a game studio. Taking a look at this piece of animation, I think all of this looks really awesome. The one thing is that right in here, so when I take a look at the reference that you sent me, one of the things that I'm noticing here is that right in this area here, we get a pretty good arc, you know, going backwards. And obviously that's only a certain degree here because it's live action.
Go through the middle, all the way back to the floor.
But, you know, there's definitely an arc line there where the body
Gotcha.
is kind of hanging back. And
Okay.
I think that is missing here. Like in here, you know, I think that if this was just a little more this way, and so that it's helping to feed into that arc, that would help that.
Gotcha.
I literally
Okay.
think that it's just a question of that, honestly. And this is a feedback session I had with Anthony Cefaretti, a former student who has gone on to have a prolific career as an animator based in Connecticut. All right, so let's take a look here. And so, like there, here on this shot here with the dog, I noticed something that felt a little odd to me is I love the going into the turnaround and look, but I feel like it kind of stops there and becomes even with the torso and is just being carried by the torso. I feel like by here, you would see the dog looking up and looking where it's headed. You know what I mean? Like something about that
Totally.
feels like it's not engaged.
No, that makes a lot of
It's
sense.
a minor thing. All the rest of the locomotion with the feet and everything is working great. That's awesome. And then one other thing here is there's, you know, like I love that there's that moment where he realizes, oh, we're stopping now. I would love for there to be at this moment, because between that and this, there isn't much change in the fore body. It would be great if there was yet a little more push forward and getting up and putting its weight on the front paws as
Right.
the back feet come down. And as the back is coming down, it looks very flat and even. It would be really awesome if the hips had a little bit of a side to side kind of thing, you know, or something to break
Right.
that up and make it not quite feel even or 20.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Other than that, I think it looks awesome.
Thank you.
Cool. Michael Smith worked with me at the third floor and was interested in beefing up his reel, so we worked together on how he could tighten up some shots he was doing to fill out his performances. The one of the first things I'm noticing, all this feels great, but then here, okay, one of the things would be here on this reaction. Is there any way to offset these so that they're not twinning?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Because that would probably be good. And then also something about that drag right there. It looks like it's going in the opposite direction. Like it should, you know what I mean? Like it's starting to animate in an opposite way before he's actually moving or it's actually moving. So just be careful of that.
Okay.
One thing right here is that there doesn't really feel to be enough change right there. So boom, you see how like basically it just kind of like it goes down into a roll or something. It almost looks like a glitch. It doesn't quite look intentional. And so I would either, you know, make that action bigger where it's clearly like this side scramble, or something to make that more of an actual moment and make whatever is intended there,
Okay, yeah.
and so like maybe like it kind of sidesteps and then it's like looking back over its shoulder as it's getting away and then it turns its attention forward again or something like that,
Yeah, that pushed it a lot more.
Yeah, that's great. Cool. Giving feedback on animation is always fun and an exciting challenge to find ways to make a performance even stronger. But if we ever have a time where no one has submitted anything for review, then I am demonstrating animation techniques and processes while you look over my shoulder and watch me work. Here are a couple of examples. The locator, as you can see, is now where the root is, and it's inheriting all of this motion. Okay? Mm-hmm. I'm going to do the same thing on this foot. I'm going to select the foot, control select that, constrain, options, make sure maintain offset is turned off, and add. This now has... That's the locator, and it's inheriting everything on that foot. There's no keys. There's no keys right now on these guys. You'll notice they are light blue. The light blue color means it is inheriting the values of this channel from some other object. That's what the light blue means. If I set a key on these, you'll notice I have these selected. If I set a key on these, notice it created a new channel box. And that channel box has a value of 0. What that did, if you don't already have a key on those locators and then you set a key on those locators, for some reason, Maya defaults to turning off the blend. It turns off the constraint for some reason. And so if you don't go back in and change this value to 1, now it's still following. But look, if I had left it alone and changed it to 0, here's where it is, and I scrub forward, and there's where it stayed. They aren't connected anymore. I don't know why it does that, so I'm just letting you know. Either set a key on your stuff and leave a key on there and then constrain it, or when you set a key and it changes from the light blue to the green, and it creates this value, make sure to change that value to 1 so that these are turned on. So now that I have a root 1 that is moving with the root in world space and recording that information, I think of these locators like a golf marker. You know, if you're out golfing and you have to move your ball, so you put a little flat marker down so that people can golf over that spot and your ball's not in the way. That's what this locator is doing. This locator is basically acting as a golf marker in world space for that component. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to select those 2 locators, and I'm going to go here to Edit, Keys, Bake Simulation, and in the options, I'm doing it on where it's keeping the keys and it's doing everything on 1s. Okay, so I hit Bake, and you'll notice now down here I have a key on every value. And if I isolate these 2 guys by clicking this, so all that I can see in the Maya viewport is the things I have selected, you'll see that now those locators are moving in world space, right? They're doing this stuff in world space. So now let me turn off the isolation. I'm going to disconnect the constraints by expanding this out and then deleting the constraints. I now have these 2 locators that are baked in doing this. Now I can select that bottom root and I can delete the movement. So now it's in place, right? And now the animation is in place. Okay? Animation's in place. I now am going to select that root locator and then shift select that controller and constrain, and it's fine if offset is turned off because it should be right on top of each other anyway. Notice that because I already had keys on that thing, it changed and blend parent defaulted to 1. Blend parent defaulted to 1 because there were already keys on the object I just put a constraint on. So if there's no keys before that, make sure it's changed to 1. Here it automatically defaulted to 1, yay. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to select the locator, and I'm going to select that foot controller and tell it basically, instead of this animation, I want you to be constrained to that thing instead. And now, when I scrub through, what happens? That character is moving through world space because those locators are.
Yep.
Okay, if I had the same thing happening on this foot, it would not be getting left behind. Okay, so now if I select that controller and this controller and do the same thing of going edit keys, bake simulation, that bakes it down onto ones. I go in here, I frame the selection, I delete these constraints on the controller, the leg controllers, and now when I select these controllers, they're not green anymore, they're just regular keys, but they are moving in world space exactly the way I wanted them to.
Oh. Interesting.
Yeah. Does that look cool to you? If so, we would absolutely love to have you join us. The goal is to create a community where everyone can learn from each other, and we can provide a space that is fun and educational, and most of all, affordable. It shouldn't have to cost a fortune to pursue your dream. Eventually, I would like to start an animation project collaboration within our Patreon community where we all work together on an animated short, something that everyone can put on a demo reel. And when that event or any other special events in our Patreon community occur, we will be sure to let you know about it here on the Animation Trainers channel. So to make sure you don't miss it, go ahead and like, subscribe, and switch that bell. Or better still, go right now to our Patreon page and sign yourself up. Come participate in our weekly 1-hour live feedback and over-the-shoulder animation fishbowl sessions at patreon.com/animation trainers. Or would you prefer to have a private session with me where we can discuss how to improve your animation skills working with me directly one-on-one? Then please visit our website at animationtrainers.com and schedule a session with me. My name is Ron Freeman, and I hope that we will see you for our next video here at Animation Trainers. In the meantime, keep it moving.